So not only did they fumble Hinata, but they also fumbled Anko. She had such a great backstory and they didn't utilize it to its fullest extent. And so in today's video, we're going to play around with the what if with Anko and see just how much the story would have changed if Anko succeeded in taking down Orochimaru. So, Anko intrigues me for several reasons. One reason she interests me is the fact that she's a student of Orochimaru, as well as the fact that she was one of the few female characters that didn't really have a love interest but was focused on revenge. And rightfully so, because Orochimaru took interest in her, made her a test subject for the Curse Seal of Heaven, and then in the anime he apparently erased her memories because she didn't want to follow him anymore. I'm honestly confused as to why this was such a huge shock to Orochimaru when you were experimenting on children for this whole Curse Seal, and Anko was really the only one to survive out of 10 other children he was experimenting on with this particular matter. The fact that this man is roaming around free in Boruto is really beyond me. But anyway, if anyone should have been the one to take out Orochimaru, I honestly believe it should have been Anko. She had such a strong admiration for Orochimaru, just to be treated like a test subject and abandoned in the end, it's no wonder she had all of this hatred. Alright, so let's go through some of the things that would change if Anko managed to get rid of Orochimaru. And keep in mind, Orochimaru was around because of the Chunin exams and because he infiltrated the Force of Death to get his hands on Sasuke Uchiha. The first thing that would probably be affected here is that there would be no Konoha Crush. That was that whole mission of which Orochimaru teamed up with the 4th Kazekage of Suna to destroy the Leaf Village, and this ultimately cost the 3rd Hokage his life, which is yet another thing that would be affected if Anko actually managed to get rid of Orochimaru in the Force of Death. Something else to consider here is that the 4th Kazekage will probably still be alive, because without Orochimaru, I know those two were conspiring to destroy the leaf together. I doubt the 4th Kazekage would continue that plan of destroying the leaf. Which also means that Gaara doesn't fight Naruto, and Naruto doesn't get to have that heart-to-heart with Gaara, which ultimately led to Gaara giving things another shot, as well as becoming the 5th Kazekage. And while, yes, we really wouldn't see Naruto and Gaara fight, you would at least be able to get to see Gaara and Sasuke fight, and we'd be able to see who would win that, because that's something that has still been debated by a lot of anime fans. Plus, without all those interruptions from Orochimaru and the 4th Kazekage, we'd also get to see the Chunin exams actually finish, which means some ninja would get the promotions that they deserve and the promotions that they earned. As y'all can see, Orochimaru being out of the picture is already affecting a lot, but y'all really haven't seen anything yet. We still haven't got to part 2 and what that would look like if Orochimaru was out of the picture. Keep in mind, we already know how hard it is to get rid of Orochimaru, like the man keeps coming back like Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, but this is all assuming that Anko manages to permanently get rid of Orochimaru, and also assuming that Kabuto doesn't make any moves on Orochimaru's behalf. But anyway, back to some additional things that would probably change in part 1. We could also probably say that that sick dude that coughed a lot, Hayate, however you said his name, he would probably remain alive. And it's also fair to say that we wouldn't get Lady Tsunade as a 5th Hokage, at least not at that time, because the 3rd Hokage would still be alive at that point. Which means we wouldn't have gotten that fight with Orochimaru and the 5th Hokage, or rather Lady Tsunade at that time. Because remember, the whole reason Orochimaru sought out Tsunade was because he had to fight with the 3rd Hokage, and the 3rd Hokage sealed his arms so he wouldn't be able to use jutsu anymore. Last but not least, at least concerning part 1, there really wouldn't be a Sasuke retrieval arc, at least assuming Kabuto and the Sound Force stands down after Orochimaru is taken out by Anko, which means Sasuke really wouldn't leave the village here, but he would probably still seek power. I could honestly see maybe Obito trying to get his hands on Sasuke a little bit earlier, maybe, if this was the route. And Kimimaro will probably get to live longer as well, because the Sound Force wouldn't be fighting. There wouldn't be that fight with Rock Lee versus Kimimaro or Gaara versus Kimimaro, so we would also lose that. Now, as far as part 2 goes, again, assuming Orochimaru is permanently off the table, there'd really be no need for Sasuke to be outside of the village unless somehow Obito starts pursuing Sasuke, which isn't all that unlikely, but assuming Sasuke is still in the village, Sai probably wouldn't be around as heavily, and then they wouldn't have that whole fight on the bridge with their reconnaissance mission. In addition, Sakura wouldn't get hurt by the Kyuubi because remember, Naruto had transformed when he was fighting Orochimaru, so that whole bit would be cut out. Also, something else we gotta consider, y'all, is that there would be no need for Sasuke and Orochimaru to fight during the Itachi pursuit mission. The whole reason Orochimaru was after Sasuke to begin with was because he mostly wanted his body. And of course, Sasuke wasn't oblivious to that and he just kind of got rid of Orochimaru before dipping off to go handle Itachi. Now here's where things kind of get a little bit trickier because during this fight with Itachi, Sasuke was gifted Amaterasu. So I'm not sure if that would still happen. Maybe that's something that would probably happen later or even earlier in the series. It really just depends, because going through this, I'm actually realizing just how much Orochimaru affected the story, and it's actually really crazy. Especially considering just how much of a role Orochimaru played in the 4th Great Shinobi War, which would definitely be different considering he was the reason all the previous Hokage was summoned to begin with and why they were able to help out in the war. Of which, had he not summoned the previous Hokage, Naruto wouldn't have been able to get the help that he needed, because at one point Madara was able to get the Kyuubi out of him. And then we also got to keep in mind that it was because of Orochimaru that Tsunade and the others were even healed after their fight with Madara. So yeah, getting rid of Orochimaru really shakes up the whole Naruto story as we know it. And then we also have to consider this would probably even affect Boruto as well, because then we may not even have Mitsuki in Boruto or in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Honestly, I know this was a what if, assuming that Anko was even strong enough to take down Orochimaru, and assuming that Anko was able to permanently get rid of Orochimaru, but I don't even think it's possible to get rid of Orochimaru completely. And even when they did try and get rid of Orochimaru, he always came back somehow. And then there's also the threat of Kabuto, and Kabuto later learning Orochimaru's powers. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Is there anything y'all think I might have missed that would be affected by removing Orochimaru as well? Do you think it would make Naruto more interesting or Naruto more complicated? Would it change the Naruto story as we know it for better or for worse? Y'all let me know down below. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Sierra Nova is out.